Today on Reel Journey, we're going to talk about this reel, the Lew's Classic Pro Speed Spool. But first, let's take a closer look at this reel. Okay, so this is the Lew's Classic Pro Speed Spool. I do not have the rights to their logo. Lew's did not ask me to make this video. They didn't ask me to make the first impressions video I made 6 months ago, where I made that introduction as well. And I just want to say that. I also want to say that that's a positive. I am not affiliated with this company in any way. I've never talked to anyone from Lew's at all. And it's a product that I believe in. So 6 months ago, I did a first impressions video of this reel, and in that video, I said, probably at a later date, I'll do another review of it, a 6-month review or something. So there you have it. Now I'm doing my 6-month review of this reel. It's been 6 months, and it is a good little reel. It's hard for me to say what I didn't already say in that video. If you want to watch that video, it's about 22 minutes long. But I actually fish with it. You get to see it in action, which I always appreciate. Other people, they just want me, to get to the point, say what I need to say, and they can make their decision from there. But if you actually want to see it in action, go check out that video. I will have that at the end of this video for sure. Maybe I'll have it above me right now. Maybe I'll have it in the description below. But I always seem to put those sort of videos at the end of the video for sure, so you might want to check that out. But I will sum up what I said off the bat because I did my research on this, so I kind of knew what I was getting into when I bought it 6 months ago. And so let's take a look at what I said in that video. Not a bad bass. These pterodactyls are nuts. One thing I'll say about this reel is I don't feel like I'm using a $60 reel right now. It doesn't feel that way at all. Even the handles, the handles feel nice in your hand. I'm just chucking this around. I'm not even thinking about it, I'm just fishing. And I mean that in a good way. Like, it's not limiting me in any way at all. I gotta say, this is working like a champ. You couldn't tell me it's a $60 reel. Like, I have the Abu Garcia Black Max. It's $50. And I really think nothing beats it at $50. Nothing beats it. It's a great reel. 6:4 gear ratio. It's a great reel. But most of the fishing I do, I need a faster reel than that. I need 7.5 or even faster. And because these Florida bass, sometimes they're fast. They shoot out like a cannon at you. And so I like to have fast reels. And so sometimes that 6:4 gear ratio is just not fast enough. And so when you think that this is only $10 more, I mean, if I had to choose between the Abu Garcia Black Max and this, just off first impressions, I think I'd pay the extra $10. This 7.5, like, I can fish a worm with this. I can fish a lipless with this. I can fish a chatterbait with this. I can do a lot of stuff with a 7.5. I can fish a swim bait. I mean, geez, swim bait, swim jig, chatterbait, lipless, worm. I mean, that's pretty much everything. And then topwater, it's 7.5. That's fast enough to fish topwater with. So if you start throwing, your whopper ploppers and your prop baits and a frog or something like that, I mean, that pretty much is everything. You know what I mean? So you could use this as an all-purpose reel. Yeah, if you want to see me fish with this more and you're subscribed, you will see me fish with this more. it's a good reel. I mean, it's not hard to tell. All right, so that's what I had to say about that, and it was dead on. This is just a little workhorse. You can use it for pretty much every technique, minus one or two. Oh, I've got an itch. One technique that I do use a lot of is like dead sticking a worm down here in Florida. Sometimes those bass get really lethargic down here. They don't move a whole lot and they're sluggish. And so you just kind of dead stick a worm or dead stick a Senko. And then when you do get a bite, you want to set the hook hard and you really want to reel fast. And in that situation, I do like an 8-something gear ratio. And then there's a couple situations where I want something lower than a 7.5. I would say 90% of your techniques you're going to want to use this. So like if I only had one reel, if this was my first reel, this would probably be the best option for you. If you the first bait caster you're going to get, and once you learn how to tune, and this goes for any bait caster, once you learn how to tune, your brakes and this and that, once you learn how to tune everything just right, this thing casts like a dream, especially for a $60 reel. It's unbelievable. It's going to cast heavy lures better than light lures, but I cast light lures just fine. And I think that, to me, that's more of you have to have the right line on. You have to have the right rod, but the reel does its job. If there's, $150+ reels that cast better, yeah, there are. I have one. But it's not by much. It's really not. It's not by much. This is a nice little reel. So big lures, small lures. For me, I have a hard time fishing smaller lures because I tend to use bigger rods, stiffer rods than what most people use. And I do that for a variety of reasons. And so for me, and then also, so right now I have 15-pound fluorocarbon on here. So I could cast, something a little lighter, and I could be fine with that. I just have to loosen up my settings a little bit and chuck it around and put it on the right rod. And I could chuck it around even better if I had lighter line on. But if you have 20-pound line on, if you're a little more of a newer fisherman, if you have like thick line on and you have like a lightweight lure, good luck. You don't want to go down that road. So, but the reel itself, the reel's a champ. It's still strong. It's still here. I still use it. I don't know how many fish I've caught on this. Probably hundreds. Literally, the first impressions video, I caught like 20 bass on this that day. So I've probably caught hundreds of bass on this in the last 6 months. And now it has been summer and stuff like that, and usually I'm fishing a Senko dead sticking it or a worm, and so I am using my other reel quite a bit. But this, and I experiment. I have an Abu Garcia Black Max. It's a 6.4 gear ratio, and I love that reel at the $40, $50 price range. But this is better. It's better. It's $60 and it's better. For $10 more, you're getting a better reel that's going to fish a lot more techniques. I throw chatter baits and swim jigs and prop baits and other topwater baits and speed worms and moving worms and stuff like that. And I throw a lot of different stuff, moving baits, creature baits, beaver baits, and this just outshines all of them. And I even like throwing a lipless crankbait on this as well. So it kind of just it kind of works for everything. And if you watch my channel and you watch all my videos, you'll see that I've put the Abu Garcia Black Max through all the different types of baits. I've tried to make that thing work. And when you need something to be slowed down, it's nice to like not have to go painfully slow with this. But it's pretty rare that you need to go that slow. Usually just reeling this at a normal speed and pausing it, letting it fall a little bit before you pick it back up. Usually that's the way to work this over using a slower reel. And usually on that pause, when it falls and I start to, oh, there's a fish. And it's pretty much for all the baits I explained. And you can even fish a worm with this. I caught 20 bass the first day I fished with this, and I actually lost a bass that day. And I felt like I lost it because I just needed to be a little bit faster. And in that lake in particular at that time, and it was a full moon, those bass were shooting out like a freaking cannon. So I was going, well, I can't seem to hold this very well, but I was going so fast trying to keep up with those fish. So, yeah, sometimes you do need a little bit faster reel, but I will say that I've caught probably hundreds of bass on this, and I feel like I might have lost like 2 bass because I felt like it was a little on the slow side. And so that's not, I mean, in the same amount of time on my 8-2 gear ratio, I probably lost 1. I felt like it was just not fast enough. So like it's gonna happen, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, man. I don't have a whole lot of complaints. It's kind of a great reel. I will say that these numbers have worn off on the side. That shows you it's been used. I kind of am not crazy about this design, this little thing coming across here. At first, I thought it was my error, and I'll show you why in a second. But I just want to say there's a little notch. So this thing comes across, there's a little notch, and it's a little hard to see where the minimum and maximum is. So the very first cast I ever made with this reel, I thought I was in the middle, and it turns out I was on minimum. So I'll show you the very first cast from that first impressions video now, so you can see what I'm talking about. Might want to tighten the settings a little bit. And I'll loosen them up as I go. That didn't work so good. Oh, I have it on minimum. There's an arrow at the end of this line. I'm looking at the line. It looks like it's in the middle, but it's actually at minimum. And I was thinking, wow, that was unexpected. Like, you think if you're in the middle, you'd cast it just fine. But that's not Lou's fault. All right, so there you have it. I do think that it seems like it could be designed a little better, but I do like that it is notched in there. And once you know about that, like I'm telling you right now, you shouldn't make that mistake. But seeing that notch in there is kind of nice, because if it was just painted on, it might wear off. Then you really don't know where it is. But that's nice. I don't know. It just seems a little different for some reason. I don't know if I talked about it in the first impressions video, but this is a small reel. I have small hands, okay? If you have big hands, like, you can grip a small reel like this, you can grip a bigger reel, and everything feels nice in your hands. I am jealous of you. My stepbrother's 6 foot, like 15 inches, and brother-in-law. He's like 6 foot 15 inches, and he's got these giant gorilla hands. And like, he can hold everything. Everything feels nice in his hand. It's like, hey, what does this reel feel like? Oh, that feels nice. What does this giant reel feel like? Oh, it feels nice. Forget you, man. So if you have big hands, this will feel nice. You have control of it because you have a big hand. You can just hold that sucker. But if you have small hands, that there's some reels that it's like you feel like I used to hold a bait caster. I wouldn't even have my hand on the bait caster because my hands are small. So I would actually, have my finger on that trigger on the rod there beneath, and I would have my hand back here, and people would clown on me. But I'm like, dude, I got girl hands, man. Like, cut me some slack. Like, there's nothing I can do about that. But that was before I started throwing this. I love this profile reel. I can hold that sucker, and I feel like it fits in my hand just fine. And I can't really say that about a lot of reels, and so I do hold this reel the correct way when I cast this around. Knobs feel nice. They got that nice wide grip right there. All this feels nice. I haven't even cleaned this in 6 months, so it's probably due for a cleaning. But it still runs like a champ. You know what I mean? Like, the numbers on the side have worn off. They're like written on there, with paint or whatever. That has worn off. That's going to happen if you use your reel. It's going to happen. Maybe they could have indented it, engraved the numbers. The build, see, the thing is, there's much better build quality materials than this. And the button feels fine, but it looks cheap. But at $60, it's been through the ringer with me. I do fishing YouTube videos, so I'm fishing all the time, and I only have 3 combos, so this sucker gets some work. Okay, so like, I fish a ton, and I don't even post videos sometimes. Sometimes I don't even bring the camera with me. I'm like, I just want to go fish. I don't want to film a video. So I fish all the time, trust me. And this sucker's still strong. It's still strong. I actually am considering, I don't know if I'll have time, but this might be beneficial to you. If I have time, I might do kayak fishing. I might join a league and do my first kayak fishing season and do tournament fishing. The problem with that is, for one, I have an inferior kayak, so I'll be at a disadvantage from that perspective. But I only have 3 combos, and I want more combos. Well, because I can fish like so many different techniques, 90% of my techniques, in a perfect world, I'd have 10 of these on 10 different rods, and, I'd be prepared for everything. But I'm really thinking about buying like 3, maybe 4 more of these, and then just pairing them up with different rods and putting different line on them for different techniques, and going to battle with mostly Lew's Classic Pro Speed Spools. They're just great little reels, and I need to buy a trailer, I need to buy this, I need to buy that, I need to buy a ton of stuff. Actually, I probably could benefit a lot from getting spot lock trolling motor put on my kayak. And so, like, there's a lot of expenses I need to pay for, and it's nice. Fishing gets expensive. It's nice that there's a reel out there that you don't have to worry about, and I can, load up on, 4 of these would be $240. That sounds like a lot. Well, 2 of them is $120. And there's some good $100 reels. Don't get me wrong. There's actually some good ones nowadays at $100. But this is almost as good, if not as good, for $60. I can have 2 of them and fish 2 different, setups, and have 2 different, ways to attack these fish, and put fish in the boat, and do well in these tournaments. That, I mean, honestly, it's a great little reel. I don't know what else to tell you. You just got to believe me. It doesn't have anything wrong with it. Let's see. So that's loose. So how far did I just tighten it? Okay, so what I do is I cinch this sucker all the way down, my drag, right? And then I'll just back it off just a tiny bit, okay? Just a tiny bit. So what happens is, when I hook into that monster bass, what ends up happening is you'll feel the drag move a little bit. But if you have it completely cinched down, you might mess up that drag. And that goes for, like, much more expensive reels as well. What I do is I just back off that drag just a tiny bit. I cinch it down, but then I back it off just a hair. Just a hair. So when I do hook in to a 10-pounder, you know what I mean? If I'm going to a pond, I roll up to a pond, and I know the biggest bass in there is 6 pounds, 7 pounds. No joke, I will cinch this all the way down. I believe in this reel for flipping a 7-pounder. Maybe you shouldn't do it, but I've done it. I've done it before. And it's a great little reel, man. I don't know. I mean, this little plastic part, it bends a little bit. I will say that. So if I fish in Florida, I fish tons of vegetation, really thick, nasty stuff. And you catch a big bass in that stuff, literally you're pulling like 60 pounds. I have tennis elbow. Yeah, I don't know if you heard that, but I just popped my elbow, okay? And it doesn't bother me when I'm fishing. When I'm holding up my 7'11" extra heavy rod at, like, 70 degrees angle, like, all day long, just kind of barely moving it, or I'm working like a walking bait all day long maybe, I might feel it in my elbow a little bit. If I'm like boat flipping giant bass all day long, I might feel it in my elbow a little bit, but usually my elbow doesn't bother me. But when I'm pulling a freaking 50 pounds worth of vegetation with a big old bass up out of there, and I'm making sure I keep the line tight and my rod up, and I'm making sure he doesn't go anywhere, and I'm winching down on him, and when I'm fighting him for 5 minutes and I gotta hold that sucker up, that's when my elbow hurts. But guess what? This might bend a little in that situation. It's never broke. I mean, you can't put it through more than what Florida has to offer. I'll just tell you that right now. I've broken rods before. I've broken reels before. I've broken rods before. I snapped reels straight in half. I haven't snapped this one though. So it's a good reel. I've definitely put it through the ringer. I hope it lasts another 6 months. I hope it lasts another year. Hope it lasts another year and a half. Maybe I'll make this a tradition. Every 6 months, I'll make a video about this one reel. But hopefully in 6 months from now, I'll have some more of these, and I'll be fishing tournaments with them. But we'll have to wait and see. I got a lot of things going on. I really wanted to fish the tournament scene, but I just have so many things that I have to do in order to do that. And so we'll see in regards to that. But if you want to see any of that, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, like the video, of course, if you like the video, and let me know what else you all want to see. I'm thinking about making a video about maybe what baits to throw on this. But again, it's a workhorse. It's more like what baits don't you throw on this. So I don't know. Maybe people won't appreciate that. But, maybe there's people searching for that content, and so that might be beneficial for some people out there. Sometimes it's those videos that I'm like I'm on the fence, should I even make it, and they're the ones that everyone likes. So let me know down below. I'm sure that someone wants to see it. But that's going to be it for today on Real Journey. We're out. Peace.